Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Power to Live Your Vision podcast. I am one of your hosts, Dr. Jessie Bowen. I'm here with Coach Nathan Ray, and our focus today in week 13 is finding value in what you do. Hello, sir. How you doing?
I'm happy, radiant, free, shining bright like three diamonds. Happy to be here with you. I hope you are.
Hey, better and better, trying to make the world a better place.
And you're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it together. Yeah. So everyone that's tuning in, hey, we're happy you're here and excited to share. Every time we start going over, the subject for the next podcast, I always get excited. So we got another great one lined up for you today. So buckle up. Just everyone buckle up.
And this podcast is brought to you by Elite Publications. You can visit our website, www.elitepublications.org. Remember, everyone has a story. You just have to get it out. So let's jump in here today. We got a lot going on in our world.
Man, did you just say a mouthful? Wow. That's no longer a rabbit hole. That's just like a big old, I don't know, a crater hole or something. I don't know. It's not a rabbit hole.
Well, if you go to the gas pump, you will know that, the importance of fuel and gas, and realizing how many things that, crude oil and what comes from it, and natural gas, and how this really impacts you. And I remember back in the 60s, 70s, when we had that gas crunch, and you had to go get limited to 5 gallons of gas and all of those things that I definitely hope we don't go back to. But we want to talk about today is that when stuff is going on that you don't control, how do you find value in what you do? Because you have, a great subject. Economics, because we're talking about value day. We want to talk about money, not just, I like doing what I'm doing, but what are you doing that can benefit others, and you can learn to be able to market yourself. And this is some of the things that we want to get you to think about. What is it I have of value? And a lot of times we're in bad situations and we look around and we're able to discover ourselves because in the position that we're in, and we can find a way out. So today we want to be able to talk about, value. What is value? And again, we want to focus on monetary value and discovering what your gifts are. So, sir, have you ever, I know you're still discovering yourself, and I'm still discovering, myself, but how do you find value in what you do?
Growing, number one, is continuing education. I think that's vital, to always study and have a growth mindset. And we hear that as kind of a buzzword today, but I mean, really, genuinely taking on the role of yourself or myself. I take on the role of a lifelong student, and we've reached high degrees in martial arts. We've earned certain titles, and all of that's awesome. But the moment you allow that to get to your head and you stop being a student, I think you're going to have a challenging road ahead. Being a lifelong learner, being open, and we were talking about a little earlier, having humility and reverence. You want to be confident, and you want to be proud of your accomplishments, and you want to share that. That's awesome. However, right next to that, though, is always to have that humility to know that I don't know what I don't know. And so having that, I think that's been a great and valuable key for myself, is just to know that I'm a lifelong learner. I'm a student. And I don't know everything. And I just keep myself open for possibilities. Yeah. How about you?
Well, I have dreams.
Now
Stuff.
that's a big part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, this show, came to me in a dream. And
Right.
being in that place of what is it that I'm doing right now that creates value. I know for you, you've just signed on with this group of fantastic martial artists about growing their business, with Grandmaster Stephen
Yep.
Oliver and Grandmaster
Yep.
Jeff Smith. So you've
Yep.
got to expand yourself and put yourself
Yeah.
in that learning environment so you can find
Absolutely.
the value. Because if I'm looking at my value, I may not see it, but someone else says,
Right.
well, you got this great gift, but you may not be able to know what that gift is because you're standing too close to it. You're too close to yourself. So you may
Right.
not see the value in the things that you're doing. And so
That's
what
right.
you want to do is expand yourself, look at where you are and what you're doing right now. So you don't have to trash that and start all over. You look at it and say, well, if I'm if I have a business, okay, so how do I find value in what I'm doing? Or if
Yep.
I'm adding in a new product line, how do I find value? Because I can add in a product line, but it really doesn't mean that I'm bringing in more value, because value becomes when someone else decides that they want it too. So
Yeah.
when someone else wants it and they would like to have it, now you're starting to create value. Now that I'm not
Yeah.
speaking of personal value, because some things we do, it doesn't have to have value to anyone else but to us, and that is
Right.
that personal value. But when we think about finding value in what we do, we want to talk about today is look around and see what it is you have of value. Maybe you just got laid off. What is the value you have that keeps you moving forward? Is the value to go out and look for another job, or did that previous job give you a skill set that a lot of people still wanted, but maybe it's not through that company? Maybe you can provide it. Maybe it's doing something that you write a book. Again, I write a book on everything, So, we just finished book number 63. So those were 63 things I was doing that I found value in that someone else could use. And
Right.
if I discover that and let someone else know about it, which we call marketing, that I market what my new thing that I'm is not necessarily new, but the thing that I'm doing that I'm now sharing with other people. So now that now builds value. But
Right.
you also think about, we all have a gift. And what do you think your greatest gift is, sir?
Wow. Wow. I think my greatest gift has been to be able to get off of the competitive plane onto the creative plane. Now, with great with great gifts and power comes great responsibility. Because being in that creative plane, sometimes you can be out there, man. I mean, you can go out in the ether. So you get to balance that out. But I think that's one of my greatest gifts, is still to be able to be tied into my imagination, my faculties outside of the physical faculties. I owe a lot of that to martial arts practices. Because when we're in the dojo and we were growing up in the dojo, you're taught how to have goal setting systems in place. Your ranking structures, your goal setting system, as we had discussed before. Your visualization is if you practice martial arts out there, if you don't, you can relate because you've seen the movies when the man is having trouble or the woman's having trouble, and you get to that scene where they're in the mountains and they start moving, and then they're getting their mind together and they're getting stronger mentally to prepare for whatever's ahead of them. We call that kata, and kata is a full imagination system, how to master your imagination. So I think that's one of the greatest things, is having vision and having an imagination that has not been pushed aside. Like, it happens a lot. People get bogged down with the day to day. I've been blessed to be here at the dojo, to stay plugged in with students who come in and parents who come in who are looking for something more. So I think that's probably one of the biggest ones right there. Just being able to do that, and then that's allowed me to keep a certain vibration, to keep a certain energy, and that energy keeps me youthful, keeps me moving, and keeps me what's the word I'm looking for, enthusiastic, because enthusiasm is catchy. When you have good enthusiasm, you attract that energy out of people, and sometimes you even pull it out of them. So I see that those are things that are a gift. Some of it, and I think it's not just you're born with it. It's a choice. You get to choose to develop those things in yourself too. And again, that goes back to that education piece that we're talking about. But, I see that as just a few of the things that I offer, and that have value, not just for myself, but for my family and for others. So yeah. Yeah. How about yourself, sir? I can
Well,
tell you one for you. Wait, I'm gonna interrupt. I can tell you one for
okay.
you.
Okay.
One of them is the power to imagine and then manifest, because some people get caught in the ether. If I talk to Hanshi today, we talk about something. Next week, he's going to say, look what I got. I'm like, what? We just talked about that. So manifestation is one of your things, man. That's a great one. That's why I love spending time with you, because you have helped me overcome procrastination in a big way. So
Well, I appreciate that. But, that is taking action. So one of your gifts that you may not see is the ability to take actions on opportunities,
yeah.
because every day there's an opportunity. Do you take an action on it, or do you let it go by the wayside and you don't? And people
Or do
struggle
you
with
or do you even see it? Right?
right,
Some people,
right.
I mean, having a level of awareness, that goes back to educating yourself so that you can have a greater level of awareness to even see the opportunity. Some people, it's just like, if I put these glasses on my head and I forget they're there, and I'm looking around, hey, where are my glasses at? And they go, it's right on your head.
Right.
Having a level of awareness to tap into all those. And you're right, opportunities are abounding. The question is, are we actually aware to see it? But anyway, excuse me, I digress. You got me
Well, I'm
going over
glad you
here,
get
man. I'm about to
excited.
run through a wall.
Well, people struggle with monetizing their gifts
Mm,
because a lot of times they struggle with money. They don't want
mm-hmm,
to talk about money, or money
mm-hmm.
is evil. So, so
Yep.
they would prefer to not share it, or to hide it, or they think that someone, if they learn it, they'll get better than they are, or something they've got in their head. And
Yeah.
you're
Yeah, for
correct.
sure.
I think that, and I look at, my, what is my gift? My gift is to be a visionary, to
Yep.
be a person that takes action on it. And, I'm the dog with the bone. I don't give up. I mean, it's, I may have to find another route to get there, but as long as I understand that I'm committed to what my destination is, because I look at it, when we have opportunities, we have to be able to follow through. And that's where a lot of people, they fall flat, that they don't follow through, or they never see the door open for that opportunity. So, and I look at you, and you have a great gift with people. Now, you're much better with people than
Thank
I
you.
am. Because you
I'm
jump
working
into
on
a
it.
conversation. You jump into a conversation with anyone, at any time, and you're off to the races. I'm standing there looking at you like, okay, whatever. I'll let little
That's right,
I'll
Bob.
let little Nate finish. I'll let little Nate go. I'm just gonna stand there, and I'm just gonna be observant, because
Yeah.
I approach things and people very slowly.
Mm.
But just my personality. I don't, you have a jump right in personality. I have, let's stand back and watch this first, so we make a good team hanging out.
Yes, yin and
But when you
yang, yin and
jumping in,
yang.
I got your back.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's
But
good to have
that's
balance.
yeah, but that's what we want to think about is that, you have, look at around, look at what is you have. How can you monetize it? If you are a creative person, write a book. Write a book. If you want to empower yourself in this economy, everyone else is. If you watch the news, you got places like CNN and Fox News. Everyone has a book. Everybody's got a book. And you say, well, wow, well, I've got a story. I've been thinking about writing it. And, right now, that story could be able to help someone change their lives. And plus, Amazon showed in January, there are 65 million reasons why you should write a book. Amazon paid out over $65 million in January to authors. Now, the question you ask, did I get any of that $65 million that they paid out? Well, I got some of it, because why? I've got these 63 books out there that, I try to make sure at least a good third of those books are in the top 100 best-selling books, that they're doing things. So there are many things you can do without having to have manual labor. So, writing a book's a great thing. What do I write about? Write about whatever's going on in your life. Write about how you are making changes in your life, how you started listening to the Power to Live Your podcast, and you got creative and says, well, I've got a story. I can tell my story. If you have a story you can share with me and can make me better, I'm always, hey, listen here, I am all ears for it. But that's just one thing. So when you look around in your world, what is it that you can monetize? Maybe you like, washing and waxing your car. So start a service, start small and get you some clients, and then go get your van, and then you start, so you build it. Then you get 2 vans, 3 vans, just from that thing of what you love to do, that now can inspire and make a change that you can now empower your life, start a new career, have a whole new, opportunity, finding the value in what you love doing.
Well, I think a big part of that, Hanshi, and I think because we are in the space we're in, we're of the consciousness we're in, sometimes, and maybe all the viewers out there, maybe you can relate to this, is not necessarily having that confidence or belief in themselves, or not being in that headspace to believe that they can do it too. But if you really think about it, everything starts small. That's just how it operates. It just doesn't, the overnight wonder is just what gets publicized. This happens so fast, this happens so whatever, but they don't write about all the sleepless nights that person had working on the project. They don't talk about all the behind the scenes. People don't know all the nights that I spent at my teacher's dojo before I built my dojo at midnight, working out on the heavy bag and dreaming and all of these things to get qualified, So there's that part of having the belief and confidence that they can do it. I was speaking with a young woman. We were just having some humor, and then she made a comment. Yeah, I should be a novelist and da 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 da. And my ears perk up when I hear that, because I'm always going to send them to Elite Publications, because Elite Publications, as Hanji puts it, is the easy button. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's definitely something you could do. So it kind of went from a little humorous moment to me saying, oh, that'd be great if you did that. I could see you being successful writing a story and using your creativity. And she immediately defaulted to, well, I would never know where to get started. I could never do that. So now we get to go back in my course, Thinking into Mastery, and many others, not just me, but a lot of people who are aware, which is having a positive self-image, self-image psychology that's positive, having a raising level of conscious. We spoke about educating yourself so that you can overcome those self-limiting beliefs, and speaking to yourself, saying the right words about yourself to yourself first, so that you can see, and everyone who's viewing this, you absolutely can. This is actually probably the easiest time to write a book. When I wrote my first book, I self-published it in 2003. I mean, that's a whole book in itself about how I was able to get that done. It was a different world. I mean, I had local print shop helping me with the edits, and it was a big thing. Now, with technology, with the help of Elite Publications, who does this, 63 personal books in, having that someone to guide you and coach you and mentor you is invaluable. So it's so doable now. But you just got to believe in yourself a little bit, is what I would say. What do you think about that, Hanchi?
Well, that's very, very true. And how do you get to that place? I know when I really thought about doing the second book in the Who's Who series, I did the first one back in 2015 was when it was released, but it was just a personal project. And I just, did it on my computer. Amazon was not around at that time, but there were self-publishing networks. So I self-published it. I went back in, had to do spell check a couple times. But doing that, but I decided to do, my friend Grandmaster Joe Corley had said, well, why don't you do another book? And I'm going, okay. And then I went back and looked at putting the book together, and I went to a publishing company, and the book that I wanted to put together, I asked them, okay, how much? They told me it's going to be $25,000. I'm going, oh, you see,
little motivation.
Well, that made me have a learning curve. You see,
what do you mean?
Because I still wanted to do it, so I had to discover how. And at $25,000, I did not have $25,000 to invest in a book project. So I went back and I gathered more people that had more experience, excuse me, in writing and spell check and all those things. And so in 2016, we released the Who's Who in the Martial Arts, which, now we're in book number 13 of doing that.
Nice.
But I could have said, when I found out the expense, oh man, I won't be able to do that. But I found a way, because
but that right there, Hanshi, right there, that's what it is right there. That part. The person is hit with this thing that's the appearance of what's happening right now, and then they just shut it down. And I think a lot of I was doing a leadership program, and they took us to the graveyard. They said, okay, this is where we're holding class today. I'm like, okay, this is different. But then we went into the material, and the idea was that the place where most of the ideas that could have changed the world are right here in this graveyard that no one ever knows about, because the person never took the action to overcome the obstacle to them just getting their idea out. So I think what you just said is so powerful. I didn't want to skip over that, because when you were presented with the 25,000, then you started looking for, okay, this is impossible, I can't do this. That's that negative self-talk, right? Instead, you said, how can I accomplish this despite what's going on? And I think this is a powerful thing we all can do on a daily basis, whether it's paying the power bill, whether it's doing this or that. We can apply that principle in a lot of ways, and we begin to become overcomers. And that goes back to, I think we were talking about, taking things, turning your skill into income. the value, seeing the value of us and turning those skills into income is a powerful thing, because people mostly are paying for convenience. You know,
Right.
they want the convenience of, how can I do this in an efficient way? I'm willing to pay you for it. I'm willing to pay you to cut my grass because I don't want to be out there taking my time cutting grass. But it doesn't mean that the person that cuts grass is less than you. It just means that's
Right.
what they're focused on, and that's not what I'm focused on. So what is it, like you just said, what is our talent that we can offer? What is our passion? What is our skill? Because from passion to business, is a, you know, we both had passion for the martial arts, and so we were able to offer that. But it took growth, took education, it took getting out of our comfort zone to understand the different aspects of that business. But I didn't mean to rant, but that one set me off. You know,
You know,
I had a
you
friend,
know,
he was going to be a professional golfer, and his wife shut him down at the time. His wife, you know, and because he couldn't see it. And now he's in regret about that years later. But it's like, man, instead of looking at how it can't work, let's figure out how it can work.
well, you know, that's very true. You know, I was just getting ready to say, you know, I created that speaker course. You
Yeah,
know, so everyone, I have a public speaker course. Nathan
it's a great
went through
course.
it
I've done it.
Nathan went through it about a year ago. Now I can't get him to stop talking.
Yeah, yeah. See, it's like, you did this. This is all you. You did this. No, you pushed
No,
my
no,
buttons a
no.
few times today. I mean, you hit my button a few times today so far. So, it's good. I'm just passionate. I love this material. I love
Well, that's the
what we're
reason why
doing.
you can
Yeah,
succeed if you
yeah.
are passionate. And everyone, you know, this is the Power to Live Your Vision podcast. You know, we're working on a book that's going to be coming out in August. And guess what the name of the book is? The book is The Power to Live
Power
Your
to live
Vision.
your vision.
You know, you can write it. What are you doing right now? And I'm, you know, as a publisher, I'm working on a project of publishing by August 100 individuals, helping them to be able to publish their books. So if you're looking at an idea or the concept of becoming a published author, then, you know, let Elite Publications help you. Not just a published author, someone to help you write, someone to publish, and the most important part, someone to help you monetize by getting people to read your book. And this is how we become international bestsellers. So as we get ready to wrap up here, just in a moment. So a couple of things here that I'm wrapping up with. So to be able to monetize or to find purpose in what you're doing, you first have to have identity. What is it? Then you have to have mindset. And that's what Nathan was speaking about, is that mindset. I'm not paying $25,000, you know, at that particular time, but that was just an indicator for me because I was willing to go and do the legwork. You may not have the skill sets, or you may not have the access to be able to get that done. So you find value in doing that. It was not the price, it wasn't the value, but it was just something that indicated to me that I had these skill sets and bringing people together. I just looked at a different option, but that was in my purpose for me. So identify, and then you got to have that mindset. Never quit. You know, if you have an idea, then that is good. And as Nathan just said, don't let someone be a thief in your life and steal that.
Yeah.
So many people, they lose that concept because they allow someone to speak negativity in their life, and they shut down and they think that they're hurting the person, but you're not. You're just hurting yourself. So if you have an idea, you got to believe in it with all your heart, all your soul, and you keep working, because that door of opportunity will open as long as you are moving forward. You know, you want to have passion, have a passion for your goals, for your business. You know, you have to fall in love with what you do. And then you fall in love and you're always saying, well, man, I love what I'm doing, man. And they actually pay me to do what I do. So you want to be able to find that love that love in there and turn whatever you're doing into passion. And, and Nathan, you're a very passionate person about, everything that you're doing. And again, that is
Yes, sir.
super quality that you have is what makes you a good teacher in the martial arts. That's what makes you a great motivational coach, is because you can find passion in what you do. And then you want to think about, how do I get the consistency to be able to build my financial value? Well, the first thing is that you go for it. You don't really make it in the publishing business until after your third project. So after your third book, you build a brand, you build a name, then you have people that, they want to begin to listen to you, and then they want to have you in as a speaker. You can do your book signings, TV interviews, because now you've actually built a brand for that. And you have to understand that it's a lot about faith and realizing purpose. And then you have to move to your calling. Because if you love what you do, then guess what? You got to have faith that you can do it. And you got to do that research that helps you become successful because of knowledge. And you have to understand that purpose. You have to say, this is my purpose. What is your purpose in life? You have to say, this is my purpose. And then you have to look at that purpose as a calling, and then move forward. Because you have to understand that when God gives you a thought, an idea, then it's really, that is the purpose. But where do you want to move forward with that? You have to act out through faith. You got to visualize, the marketing to it. And in that process, you got to see the value in what you're doing. And, I wrote a book beginning part of last year, Don't Procrastinate on God, the Wealth Kingdom Mindset.
Book. Yeah, great book.
But overcoming that fear of taking action on something and allowing fear to turn into procrastination. And, you have to understand that what will happen if I do a great job and bring this forward, then this can become a part of my legacy. And if it's a part of my legacy, how will it impact the world? How will it, how will it now be a part of legacy? How will it make a difference in someone else's lives? And, that is the difference between just success and being significant. So you want to really, really want to apply yourself. So what we're telling you this week is to find your passion. And then you want to be able to find the value, finding the value of what you do. What is the value of it?
Well, that's certainly right. I mean, wow, you said so much goodness right there. That's just good. The legacy part, though, that's really a powerful part of what we're doing, and building that legacy and using these tools that we're sharing. I just want to encourage all of the audience to do a couple of things. Check us out on Roku and Spotify, because Hanchi just said a mouthful. I said like 3 miles full. but the great thing is, go to Roku, Spotify, check us out, and go back and listen to this. I think that was one of the biggest light bulbs that came on in my life, because a lot of times you're doing things, you're not thinking about it. And if you're fortunate, you're doing the right things, and then you can look back. And one of the things when I look back was constant spaced repetition is vital. So not just hearing something one time and wondering why it's not working for you. Going back and doing this repetitiously. So go back, check this podcast out. We've got others that are already out there. Like you said, what week is this? What week are we in?
13.
Goodness gracious. Wow. Because time is doing what time does. Time does not stop. So go back, listen to the different podcasts, study it, and get into it, not just one time, but over and over again. As we close, I think that would be kind of my parting message to everyone is go back and listen to all this goodness over and over again.
Well, you're exactly right. Check out the things we're doing. Listen to the podcast. If you have a question, and listen, you can message me on Facebook or any of the social media platforms. You can drop us an email at info@elitepublications.org. Check out our Roku channel. Go to where you can upload your Roku apps, and our app is Elite Publications Worldwide TV. Download the app. You can also go to Spotify, and you can listen to the replays on there. We're just trying to make the world, a better place. This is just free information. We're not charging for the information. And if you have some information that we can learn from, please let us know. And let's join together. Let's make the world a better place. Let's not go back in time and do crazy. Let's move forward and do better.
Yeah. Well, I think, and that's a powerful, encouraging way to leave today, in light of everything that's going on in the world. Is sometimes it's easy to get pulled into that negative mindset about all the wrong that's going on. Well, let's do something about it. I think it just starts with grassroots, right where you're at, applying positive principles in our lives with our neighbors, and with, like you said earlier, having the passion for your purpose, coming into the knowledge of your purpose, and monetizing it is a powerful way that you get freed up from stress. At the same time, you're helping others get freed up from their stress because you're sharing your gift. So we'll work on that money mindset, that abundance mindset is very important. And so, yep. Yes, sir.
All right. So everyone, be blessed. Remember, let us know how we're doing. What can we improve in? Let us know. Listen to our podcast. Remember, you have the power to live your vision. Be blessed.